What no longer makes sense after 70? As we step into the golden era of our lives, moving into our 70s and 80s, the world starts to appear a little differently. The pace of life changes, our values shift, and what once seemed significant often no longer holds the same importance. At this stage of life, we are often confronted with a simple yet profound question. What no longer makes sense? Are the opinions of others still worth fretting over? Is accumulating material wealth still necessary? Should we continue to invest our time in relationships or obligations that no longer bring us joy? The answer to these questions leads us to one of the most powerful transformations that occur as we age. The realization that much of what we held onto in our younger years no longer serves us. In this video, we will explore 9 aspects of life that lose their significance as we age and, more importantly, how letting go of these unnecessary burdens can create space for greater joy, peace, and fulfillment. These realizations not only bring a sense of clarity and peace, but also lead to a more intentional and meaningful way of living. Let's explore these transformative aspects one by one. Before we get started, I'd really appreciate it if you could give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend hitting the old subscribe to eat button and turning on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our future videos. Naughty 1. Letting go of the weight of others' opinions. One of the most profound lessons learned after 70 is the realization that the opinions of others, which once weighed so heavily on our decisions, no longer hold any real power. From childhood, we are taught to seek approval, conform to societal norms, and shape our identities around the expectations of family, friends, and society. The weight of judgment can feel overwhelming, dictating how we dress, speak, and behave. But by the time we reach 70, we have weathered enough storms to understand a liberating truth. No one else's opinion defines our worth. This is not a sudden revelation, but rather the result of years of living, learning, and growing. We come to realize that the energy spent worrying about what others think of us is wasted energy. Consider all the times in life we hesitated to pursue a passion, express an opinion, or make a life-changing decision because we were too concerned about how others would perceive us. At this stage of life, we can finally set down this heavy burden and recognize that those opinions are just that, opinions. They have no real bearing on our happiness, success, or fulfillment unless we allow them to. Letting go of the weight of others' opinions is a deeply personal process. But once we do, we reclaim a sense of inner peace and freedom. We begin to live more authentically, making decisions based on what brings us joy and fulfillment, rather than on what will earn the approval of others. This is a powerful transformation, one that allows us to live more fully in alignment with our true selves. Take, for example, a woman in her 70s who spent much of her life striving to meet the expectations of her family. She pursued a career she didn't love, remained in social circles that no longer served her, and suppressed her true desires out of fear of judgment. It wasn't until she retired and reflected on her life that she realized how much of her energy had been spent trying to live up to the expectations of others. By letting go of this need for approval, she was finally able to pursue her passion for painting, travel the world on her terms, and create a life that brought her true joy. This sense of liberation is available to all of us. Imagine the freedom of waking up each day and making decisions based solely on your own desires and needs, free from the constraint of others' opinions. This is the kind of freedom that comes with age and wisdom, and it is a gift we can all embrace. 2. Releasing the burden of material possessions. As we age, our relationship with material possessions begins to shift. In our younger years, many of us were driven by the desire to accumulate, whether it was clothes, gadgets, furniture, or even homes. We believed that these possessions would bring us happiness, status, or security. Perhaps they did for a time, but as we grow older, we come to realize that true happiness is not found in things. The truth is, material possessions can become a burden, especially as we enter our later years. The things we once thought we needed begin to clutter our homes and our minds. Our closets may be filled with clothes we no longer wear, our garages packed with items we haven't touched in years, and our homes overflowing with objects that once seemed essential but now feels superfluous. By the time we reach our 70s, we begin to see that less is truly more. Releasing the burden of material possessions allows us to focus on what really matters: our relationships, our experiences, and our well-being. This doesn't mean getting rid of everything, but rather being more intentional about what we keep and what we let go of. It's about simplifying our lives so that we can live with greater clarity and peace. Decluttering is not just about creating physical space. It's about creating emotional and mental space as well. Each item we hold on to carries with it a bit of emotional energy. By letting go of the things we no longer need, we free ourselves from the weight of the past and make room for new experiences and joys. For example, many people find that after downsizing their homes in their later years, they experience a sense of relief and freedom they hadn't anticipated. Without the burden of maintaining a large home or managing a vast array of belongings, they are free to focus on the things that bring them joy. Spending time with loved ones, traveling, or pursuing hobbies. This simplicity allows them to live more fully in the present, unburdened by the clutter of the past. Imagine walking into your home and being greeted by space, light, and calm, rather than by clutter and chaos. This is the gift of releasing the burden of material possessions. It's about creating a living environment that reflects who we are today, not who we once were. How often in our lives have we found ourselves at social gatherings or events out of a sense of obligation rather than desire? Whether it's a family function, a work event, or a social gathering, many of us spend years saying yes to invitations that we'd rather decline. We go out of duty, politeness, or the fear of offending someone, even when our hearts are yearning for solitude or a quiet evening at home. As we grow older, particularly after 70, we gain the clarity and confidence to say no to these unnecessary social obligations. We begin to understand that life is too precious to spend it in places or with people who do not bring us joy. We no longer feel the need to be everywhere or for everyone, and we start to prioritize our own needs and desires. Saying no is not an act of selfishness. It's an act of self-care. It's about honoring our own boundaries and recognizing that our time and energy are valuable. By saying no to events or obligations that drain us, we create space for the things that truly matter, whether it's spending time with loved ones, pursuing a hobby, or simply enjoying a quiet evening at home. This shift in perspective often comes with age and experience. In our younger years, we may have felt the pressure to say yes to everything, to prove ourselves, to maintain relationships, or to avoid disappointing others. But by the time we reach our later years, we have gained the wisdom to understand that it's perfectly okay to say no. We no longer feel the need to please everyone, and we realize that by protecting our own energy, we can show up more fully for the things and people that truly matter to us. Consider the story of an elderly man who, after years of attending every family gathering and social event out of obligation, finally allowed himself to say no. He began to decline invitations to events that didn't resonate with him, choosing instead to spend his time in ways that brought him peace and fulfillment. At first, he worried that his family and friends would be disappointed, but to his surprise, they understood and respected his decision. By prioritizing his own well-being, he was able to enjoy the moments he did choose to engage in with far more presence and joy. This is the power of saying no. It's about reclaiming your time and energy and using it in ways that nourish your soul rather than deplete it. By letting go of unnecessary social obligations, we create space for deeper, more meaningful connections and experiences. 4. Embracing authentic beauty. In a culture that idolizes youth and physical perfection, aging can sometimes feel like a battle against societal expectations. From magazine covers, to television ads, to social media, we are constantly bombarded with images of beauty tied to smooth skin, toned bodies, and youthful features. The pressure to maintain these standards can be overwhelming, especially as we grow older. But what if we dared to reject these narrow definitions of beauty? What if we embraced the natural aging process, seeing the lines on our faces and the gray in our hair not as imperfections to be hidden, but as symbols of the lives we have lived? Authentic beauty is not about perfection. It is about the depth of our character, the kindness we show to others, and the wisdom we carry within ourselves. It is about the grace with which we move through the world, and the confidence we exude when we embrace who we truly are. The wrinkles on our faces tell the stories of a life well lived, of laughter, hardship, love, and growth. The gray in our hair is not something to be covered up. It is a testament to the wisdom we have gained along the way. When we embrace these signs of aging, we free ourselves from the unrealistic expectations imposed by society. We stop trying to conform to a standard that was never attainable in the first place, and instead celebrate the beauty that comes from living authentically. Think about the people in your life whom you find truly beautiful. Chances are, it's not their physical appearance that draws you to them, but something much deeper. It's the kindness in their eyes, the warmth of their smile, and the wisdom in their words. This is the kind of beauty that transcends age, and it is available to all of us when we choose to embrace our true selves. For example, many women in their 70s and 80s find a renewed sense of confidence and freedom when they stop coloring their hair or trying to hide their wrinkles. They realize that beauty is not about looking young, but about embracing the natural aging process with grace and dignity. This shift in perspective allows them to move through the world with a sense of inner peace and authenticity that is far more powerful than any external standard of beauty. Imagine how freeing it would be to look in the mirror and see not flaws, but a reflection of the person you have become. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every mark of aging is a testament to the life you have lived. This is authentic beauty, and it is something to be celebrated. 5. Reevaluating activities that no longer bring joy as we move through life. We often fall into routines that serve us well for a time, but may no longer bring the same joy or fulfillment. As we age, whether it's a hobby we once loved, a social group we've been part of for years, or a tradition we've upheld out of habit, it's important to periodically reevaluate how we are spending our time. By the time we reach our 70s and 80s, we have earned the right to let go of activities that no longer bring us joy. This doesn't mean dismissing or devaluing the things that once mattered to us. It simply means recognizing that we have the right to evolve. Our interests, passions, and priorities change over time, and that is a beautiful thing. Reevaluating our activities allows us to create space for new passions and experiences. It gives us the freedom to try new things, to reconnect with old friends, or to simply enjoy the peace that comes from unstructured time. For example, a woman who spent decades participating in a local gardening club may find that her interests have shifted. While gardening once brought her great joy, she now feels drawn to painting or writing. Rather than continuing to participate in the gardening club out of obligation, she allows herself to explore new creative outlets. This shift not only brings her a renewed sense of fulfillment, but also opens the door to new friendships and experiences. This is the beauty of reevaluating our activities. It's about giving ourselves permission to change, to let go of what no longer serves us, and to embrace what brings us joy in the present moment. 6. Cutting ties with toxic relationships. Relationships are at the heart of what makes life meaningful. The connections we share with others have the power to lift us up, bring us joy, and provide a sense of belonging. However, not all relationships are created equal. Some connections are nurturing and supportive, while others are draining and toxic. As we reach our later years, it becomes more important than ever to reassess the relationships we allow into our lives. We have lived long enough to understand the impact that others can have on our emotional well-being, and we have earned the right to prioritize our own peace and happiness. Toxic relationships, whether they are with friends, family members, or acquaintances, can weigh heavily on our spirit. These are the relationships that leave us feeling drained, unappreciated, or diminished. They are the connections that bring more stress than joy, more criticism than support. Cutting ties with toxic relationships is not an act of anger or resentment. It is an act of self-care. It's about recognizing that we deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift us, who celebrate our victories, and who support our growth. Life is too short to spend with people who make us feel anything less than whole. Letting go of toxic relationships can be difficult, especially if they are long-standing or with close family members. But by doing so, we create space for healthier, more fulfilling connections to enter our lives. We allow ourselves the freedom to surround ourselves with love, positivity, and support. For example, a man in his 70s who had spent years maintaining a relationship with a critical family member finally made the decision to distance himself. This decision was not made out of bitterness, but out of a desire for peace. By cutting ties with this toxic relationship, he was able to focus on the people in his life who truly brought him joy and support. This shift brought him a renewed sense of peace and happiness, allowing him to fully embrace his later years. Imagine the lightness that comes from letting go of relationships that no longer serve you. By prioritizing your own well-being, you create space for love, joy, and positivity to enter your life. This is the gift of cutting ties with toxic relationships. It is a pathway to emotional freedom and peace. 7. Letting go of comparisons. Comparison is often called the thief of joy, and for good reason. Throughout our lives, we are constantly tempted to measure ourselves against others, whether it's their financial success, their family life, or their accomplishments. We compare our homes, our jobs, our bodies, and even our relationships, believing that someone else's life is somehow better or more fulfilling than our own. But as we age, particularly after 70, we begin to see the futility of comparison. Everyone's journey is different, and no two paths are the same. What brings one person happiness may not bring the same joy to another. Success, fulfillment, and happiness cannot be measured by someone else's standards. They are deeply personal and unique to each individual. Letting go of comparisons allows us to fully embrace the richness of our own lives. It frees us from the constant pressure to measure up to others and allows us to define success on our own terms. By focusing on our own journey, we can appreciate the beauty and uniqueness of our experiences without feeling the need to stack them against someone else's. Consider the example of an elderly couple who spent years comparing their financial situation to that of their neighbors. They worried that they hadn't saved enough, that their home wasn't as nice, or that their retirement plans didn't measure up. But as they grew older, they realized that their true happiness wasn't tied to their bank account or their home. It was found in the love they shared, the experiences they had, and the memories they created together. By letting go of the need to compare, they were able to fully appreciate the life they had built, and they found a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. This is the gift of letting go of comparisons. It allows us to live fully in the present moment, appreciating the richness of our own lives without the constant need to measure up to others. 8. Redefining goals. What truly matters now? In the earlier stages of life, many of our goals are shaped by societal expectations. Career success, financial stability, and achieving certain milestones. We are driven by the desire to build a successful career, accumulate wealth, or achieve recognition in our chosen fields. But as we grow older, particularly after 70, we begin to realize that some of these goals no longer resonate with who we are or what we truly want from life. Now is the time to redefine success. What truly matters to you at this stage of life? Is it spending more time with loved ones? Is it pursuing passions that you never had time for in your younger years? Is it simply enjoying the peace that comes with living more mindfully and intentionally? Letting go of old goals is not about giving up. It's about evolving. It's about recognizing that true success is not about status or wealth, but about feeling fulfilled in the life we are living. Redefining our goals allows us to focus on what brings us the most joy and meaning in this chapter of life. For example, a woman who spent decades climbing the corporate ladder may find that her definition of success has shifted. While her career once brought her great satisfaction, she now finds more meaning in spending time with her grandchildren, traveling, or pursuing a creative passion she never had time for. By redefining her goals, she is able to live a life that is aligned with her current values and desires rather than clinging to old definitions of success that no longer serve her. This is the power of redefining goals. It allows us to let go of what no longer matters and to focus on what brings us the deepest sense of joy, peace, and fulfillment. 9. Prioritizing your happiness without guilt. For much of our lives, we are conditioned to put the needs of others before our own. We are taught that selflessness is a virtue and that prioritizing our own happiness is selfish. But as we grow older, we begin to see that this way of thinking is flawed. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you spend all your energy on others without taking care of yourself, you will find that there is nothing left to give. Prioritizing your happiness is not selfish. It is necessary. It allows you to bring your best self to the people you love and the relationships that matter most. At 70 or 80, it is time to embrace the idea that your happiness matters. You have spent a lifetime giving to others, and now it is time to give to yourself. Take the time to do the things that bring you joy, whether it's resting, pursuing a passion, or simply enjoying a quiet moment of reflection. When you prioritize your happiness, you not only benefit yourself, but you also become a source of positivity and light for those around you. For example, a woman who spent years caring for her family and putting their needs before her own finally began to prioritize her own happiness after turning 70. She started taking art classes, going on solo trips, and spending more time in nature. At first, she felt guilty for taking time for herself, but she quickly realized that by caring for herself, she was better able to care for her family. Her energy, joy, and enthusiasm for life were contagious, and her family benefited from seeing her so happy. This is the power of prioritizing your happiness. When you take care of yourself, you bring more love, energy, and joy to the people around you. It's not selfish. It's essential. Embracing the freedom to live lightly. Life after 70 offers a unique opportunity to live more intentionally and with greater joy. It is a time to let go of the burdens we have carried for so long. Whether it's the weight of others' opinions, the clutter of material possessions, or the toxicity of negative relationships. By releasing these burdens, we create space for what truly matters: meaningful connections, personal growth, and the simple pleasures that bring us happiness. This is a time to prioritize our own happiness without guilt, to live lightly and with intention, and to embrace the beauty of life in its purest form. As we reflect on these 9 areas of transformation, we are reminded that life is not about accumulation, but about appreciation. It is not about conforming, but about living authentically. And most importantly, it is not about pleasing others, but about finding peace within ourselves. As you move through this stage of life, remember that it is never too late to let go of what no longer serves you, and to embrace the freedom that comes with living intentionally. This is your time. Cherish it, nurture it, and live it fully. Leave a comment with the number 9 if you found this video helpful and meaningful, or 0 if you didn't. Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We can all learn from each other. If you found the video useful, please leave a comment below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us continue creating valuable content like this, and we look forward to having you with us in the future. Thank you for watching.